So Joe Biden was caught in an absolutely absurd lie while campaigning in South Carolina.
This day, 30 years ago, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison and entered into discussions about apartheid. I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robbins Island.
So when people heard this, everybody was like, whoa, wait. You were arrested while trying to see Nelson Mandela. That's a big story. In fact, it's so big, it had to be like reported at the time, right? Right? So they went back and they were like, that's weird. Seems to be no evidence of that. That UN ambassador that he just referenced, that guy's still around. They went and asked that guy. That guy's like, no, didn't happen. Joe, what are you doing, Joe? What are you doing? He acts like he's still stuck way back in the day when there weren't cameras at every single event. Bro, you're on tape. You're on video. What are you doing? That's a Trumpian level lie. That might even eclipse a Trumpian lie. Well, no, Trump has told some amazing ones in his life. I didn't go bankrupt is one of my favorites, when his businesses went bankrupt at least 6 times. When he said, that wasn't me, the John Miller, remember the John Miller story where he would call people at these magazines and tell them amazing stories about himself, and he was pretending like he was Trump's publicist, John Miller. He's like, nope, that wasn't me. Nope, not even true. Not even. And it's like, bro, we hear your voice. It's right on the thing. He's like, nope, not me. So I would say it's a Trumpian lie. It doesn't eclipse a Trumpian lie, 'cause I don't know if you could do that, but what are you doing? And I mean, listen. The optics of this are terrible, too. South Carolina, a lot of the Democratic voters there are people of color. They're black folks. And you, went out of your way to tell a lie specifically about a historical figure who's very important in the black community the world over. Nelson Mandela. I mean, what a hero. And you tell a lie like that? Guys, if Bernie Sanders told that lie, do you have any idea what the backlash would be? They would be screaming for him to drop out. They'd say this is unforgivable. Look at this. He's got to lie in order to look more appealing to black voters. How sad is that? How pathetic is that? Drop out. You're shameful what you just did. Shameful. Get out of here. But when it's Joe Biden, not much talk about it. To be fair, there's been some articles that covered it, which is good. But there's really not much talk. Certainly they've ignored it in mainstream media. They're effectively trying to bury it. And his campaign casually backed off of it. Took a couple steps back. But this, I mean, it's so amazing. He could just do this and kind of get away with it because he's got a media apparatus that's not really doing their job well. And by the way, Biden is not their favorite candidate. He's just not. I think that the media would much rather have Mayor Pete. I think the media would much rather have Klobuchar. Even Warren, they're kind of okay with now, but they're not Biden. They're not too hot on, and then Bloomberg they actually dislike kind of, which I'm happy about because he's giving them so much money that at least in the case of local outlets, he is buying their support or at least their non-criticism at the local level. But yeah, the CNN level, they're not the biggest fans of him. There's just too much there that they can't, in a Democratic primary, you can't bury all of those terrible things about him because everything about him is terrible. But this should be a story that's a huge story and it's just not as big as it necessitates because who lies about that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And then meanwhile, of course, he's lying about me. I was fighting with Nelson Mandela. I was on his side and I got arrested going to see him. I'm a civil rights hero, some would say. Bro, you were against busing back then. He worked with segregationists and bragged about it. I'm not making this up. That's the historical record. Meanwhile, there's, pictures of Bernie Sanders getting arrested protesting for civil rights. Involved in the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King Jr. But I can't bring that up. That's distasteful to bring up your accurate history. But lie about your history, if you're Biden, totally fine. Oh, come on, man. And the polls show right now he's leading in South Carolina, and he's very likely to win the state of South Carolina. If there was justice in the world, that wouldn't be the case.